There's something weirdly peaceful about realizing that one day all of this is going to be over. I know that sounds dark, but honestly, I don't really mean it in a dark way. I mean it in the sense that one day I'm not going to be here anymore, and neither are you. And when that day comes, none of the opinions that we were scared of are going to matter. None of the people that judged us are going to matter. None of the embarrassment, the overthinking, the fear of looking weird, the fear of starting over, the fear of people seeing us fail, none of this is going to matter. And when you actually sit with that, it kind of makes you ask a different question. Not what will people think, but what am I actually doing with my life? Because here's the thing. I've spent a lot of my life chasing freedom. But for a long time, I didn't even realize that the way that I was chasing freedom was actually destroying me. See, I'm 27 years old now, and I've been trying to figure out how to build a business since I was basically a kid. When I was around 11 years old, my parents got divorced, and somewhere in my head, it came to me that I needed to be the one to make money. I needed to help. I needed to figure this all out. Now, looking back at it, I was probably putting way too much responsibility on myself. I was just a kid. I didn't need to carry that. But at that time, it felt real. It felt like money meant safety. It felt like I could just figure it out if I had enough money and that everything would be okay. So I tried everything as a kid. Network marketing, online surveys, affiliate marketing, selling random services, drop shipping, sales, anything that I thought of, anything that I saw that maybe could work. And most of it didn't work. Every once in a while, I'd make a couple dollars here and there, but nothing was really working consistently. Then, around the beginning of college, I got a job at a travel company selling vacations. And for the first time, something actually started to click. I was selling between $200,000 to $300,000 a month in these vacations, and I was making somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000 a month in commissions in my pocket. And on paper, that sounds amazing, especially when you're young college kid and you've been struggling for so long. But the weird part was that I was sitting in a cubicle every day talking to people about the vacations that they were going on, the places that they were traveling to, and the lives that they were living. And I was just there stuck, sitting in a box, selling freedom to other people while feeling like I didn't have any on my own. And eventually I got tired of it. I didn't want to be in that corporate America life forever. I didn't want to just sit there forever. I didn't want to spend my life helping other people live while I stayed stuck. So I did what most people told me not to do. I quit my 6-figure per year corporate job with no real backup plan, no perfect business, no safety net, just this feeling of I had to figure it out. And that's when things got worse, not better. I got into the world of online business, so learning about courses, coaching, funnels, systems, offers, sales, marketing, all of it. And because I was so desperate to figure this out, I just kept swiping my credit card. I thought that every course was going to be the one that helped me. Every coach was going to have the answer. Every new thing was finally going to be the fix that I needed. And before I knew it, I was $50,000 in credit card debt with no real income to show for it. And I remember sitting there thinking, what did I just do? Because I had quit my job, I had no consistent income coming in, I had all of this debt, and I still didn't have a business that was working. So I didn't know where to go. But at the same time, I was learning. I didn't fully see it yet, but I was learning how online businesses actually worked. Not just the surface level stuff, but the real stuff, the back-end systems, the offers, the sales process, and the automations, the client journey, and everything that's needed to really make an online business function. And then one day, someone that I knew had reached out to me. He was working in sales for an online coach at the time, and he basically told me that he knows that I've been learning all of this stuff and that the work that he was doing with his boss, that they were having some problems with their backend systems and they wanted to see if I could take a look at it. And I was like, sure, I guess. I didn't really have anything else to do. So I was like, why not? So I got on a call and somehow I closed a deal. My first real client. It was a few $1,000s up front to help them build things out so that they can get things moving again. And then I managed it for them for the next few months and got a percentage of what they made because of it. And by the end of that project, I had made a little bit over $20,000 myself. But the bigger thing was what happened for them. When they came to me, they were making around $6,000 a month, and it was struggling. They were doing not as well as they could have. And after working together, they were making over $20,000 a month. And that was the first time where I was like, oh, this can actually be real. Not like in a fake guru way, not in like a hype way, but in a way that like I had confidence that I could actually help someone grow their business. And, even though I was struggling with it, it was because I didn't have the audience or anything, but I knew the systems I needed to actually be put into a business to actually work. So that's when I started to take things to the next level. And after working with a few clients, I closed the biggest deal I had ever closed, an $80,000 deal. It was a 6-month project with a way bigger company. And when they came to me, they were doing around $40,000 a month. But by the end of the project, they were doing around $120,000 a month consistently. And that was one of those moments where I realized that there's so much potential here, and you just have to unlock it. When you understand the right systems, the right offers, the right back end stuff, and the right sales process, content, and data to grow a business, you can actually change the direction of a business completely. And that's really where things started to click. But here's the part that people don't really talk about. Just because something works, that doesn't mean that you're building it in a healthy way. You see, I went all in. And I don't mean it in like a cute motivational version of going all in. I mean that I went into the point where I burnt myself out badly. I was constantly stressed all the time. My body was carrying everything. I stopped eating healthy. The pressure, the debt, and the expectations, the fear of failing, the fear of going backwards, wasting my life. And eventually, that stress got to me and put me in the hospital. Not once, but twice. And that's where things start to change. And it changed the way that I looked at business, because at some point you have to realize and you have to ask, what's the point of building a business for freedom if in the process of building it, you destroy your health, your peace, your relationships, and your actual life? Like, what's the point of making money if you don't even feel alive enough to enjoy it? What's the point of building something big if you become the smallest version of yourself in the process? And that's where I've kind of gotten to. Now, I'm not here to pretend that I have everything figured out. Trust me, I don't. I'm not coming here like some guru saying, look at me, I'm perfect, copy everything that I do. Trust me, that is not what this is. This is me actually rebuilding things. But this time, I want to rebuild it the right way. I want to build a business that creates freedom, not just another prison. I want to build something that grows, but doesn't destroy me. I want to build something that creates impact and still leaves room for having an amazing life, for purpose, for balance, for adventure, for nature, for family, and for actually being present in life. And that's what this is really about. Helping myself and founders like you build a scalable machine that grows their business, their impact, and their life. Because I think a lot of founders accidentally build businesses that trap them. They start because they want freedom and they feel like they get it. But then a few years later, they're overwhelmed, overworked, undersupported, constantly reacting, constantly putting out fires, and wondering how the thing that they built for freedom became the thing that was taking it away from them. And I don't want that myself, not for me, not for the founders that I work with, not for you. So the goal now is actually pretty simple. Build the machine, build the content, build the systems, build the sales, and build the processes like the backend system and the data, the teams and everything to build a business in a way that actually supports the life that we're trying to live. Not someday, not after we make it, but today, now. So this video isn't an overnight success story. It's not me saying I've made $1 million in 30 days and here's how you can do it. It's not me pretending that last year didn't happen either, because it's been rough. Honestly, I spent a lot of time burnt out, tired, stuck, and not moving the way that I know I can. But I also know what I've done before. I know I've helped a lot of clients. I know what I've sold. I know that I've closed a lot of deals. I know that I've taken clients from $6,000 a month to over $20,000 a month, and even helped companies go from $40,000 a month to over $120,000 a month, and many more in between throughout the years. So this isn't about wondering if it's possible. It is. I've seen it. It's about actually doing it again, but this time with more alignment, more structure, more peace, more purpose, more consistency, and a lot less self-destruction in the process. So I'm going to be documenting the process with you. The wins, the mistakes, the systems, the content, the sales, all the parts of rebuilding it, the parts that work, the parts that don't work, all of it. Because maybe the real goal isn't to just build a successful business. Maybe the real goal is to build a business that gives you your life back. And that's what I'm really trying to figure out here. Not perfectly, not as someone who has all the answers to every single question, but as someone who knows what it feels like to chase freedom, but the wrong way. And now I'm trying to build it the right way. So if you're a founder that's trying to grow without burning out, without burning yourself to the ground, then you've come to the right place.